వసుదైక కుటుంబం సర్వే జన సుఖినో భవంతు అనే విశ్వ మానవ సిద్ధాంతాన్ని అందించిన భారతీయ తత్వాన్ని ప్రపంచంలో వ్యాప్తి చేసేందుకు శ్రీరామచంద్ర మిషన్ చేస్తున్న కృషి ఎనలేనిది. దాదాపు 150 దేశాలలో ధ్యానం ద్వారా మానవ జీవితాల్లో పరివర్తన తీసుకువస్తున్న సంస్థ రామచంద్ర మిషన్. హార్ట్ఫుల్నెస్ సంస్థ ప్రపంచంలోనే అద్భుతమైన అతిపెద్దదైన ధ్యాన కేంద్రాన్ని హైదరాబాదులో ప్రారంభించి పలు సేవా కార్యక్రమాలు నిర్వహిస్తుంది. కన్హా శాంతివనంలో 600 ఎకరాల విస్తీర్ణంలో నిర్మించిన ధ్యాన కేంద్రాన్ని హార్ట్ఫుల్నెస్ ప్రప్రథమ మార్గదర్శి లాలాజీకీతో పాటు హార్ట్ఫుల్నెస్ ప్రస్తుత మార్గదర్శి కమలేష్ పటేల్ జాతికి అంకితం చేశారు. కన్హా హార్ట్ఫుల్నెస్ మూవ్మెంట్ యొక్క కేంద్రం. కన్హా వద్ద ప్రకృతి విస్మయం కలిగించే నిశ్చలత మరియు చక్కదనంతో ఉంటుంది. కన్హా అనేది మానవజాతి మరియు ప్రకృతి సామరస్యంతో సహజీవనం చేసే ప్రదేశం. నేడు సంరక్షించబడిన నీరు రేపటికి వాగ్దానం. ఇక దాజీ అనే పేరుతో అందరికీ సుపరిచితులు. హార్ట్ఫుల్నెస్ ధ్యాన పద్ధతికి ప్రస్తుత మార్గదర్శి కమలేష్ పటేల్. చైతన్య వికాసం కాంక్షించే అందరికీ, అన్ని వయసులు, అన్ని రంగాలకు చెందిన వారికి ఆయన ఆచరణాత్మకం, అనుభవాత్మకమైన సరళమైన పద్ధతిని అందిస్తారు. విస్తృతంగా రచనలు, ప్రసంగాలు కొనసాగిస్తున్న వ్యక్తి దాజీ. ఆట 17వ మహాసభల్లో వాషింగ్టన్ డీసీ వేదికగా హార్ట్ఫుల్నెస్ గైడ్ కమలేష్ పటేల్తో అపోలో హాస్పిటల్ వైస్ చైర్పర్సన్ ఉపాసన కామినేని సంభాషణపై సాక్షి ఎన్ఆర్ఐ అందిస్తున్న ప్రత్యేక కార్యక్రమం.
Revered Daaji joining us on Zoom to address us and also to interact with a very special friend, a special guest, an iconic figure for women, Mrs. Upasana Kamineni Konidella. She needs no introduction in the Indian community. She is the chief editor of Be Positive magazine and the granddaughter of respected Pratap Reddy Garu of Apollo Hospitals. And we will be impressed looking at her bio on the video. But one thing that I like to mention is her passion to provide adequate care for abandoned elderly women. And that makes me feel very proud of our Telugu Adabadachu, who is a successful, iconic figure, becoming an example for the youth, guiding the youth with good principles. And we need more upasanas in this world to inspire women and the youth. And ladies and gentlemen, please give a big hand to our very dear Upasana Kamineni Konidella. Namaskaram Andi. Welcome, welcome and welcome. We are very honored that you are here amongst us, and most of our people here, they admire you, they follow you, and you are an inspiration for women and all the changes you're bringing and your love for your animals. You are the chief editor of the Be Positive magazine, and we are so impressed that great people, great personalities like Amir Khan Garu, coming and visiting you instead of you going there. And we are very proud of our Telugu women, Upasana Kamineni Konidella. Welcome. Video of revered Daaji. And Namaste Daaji. And before we...
That's Upasana, huh? Yes, sir. Hello, Upasana. Namaste. Namaste. What are you doing in US? Huh? You would go to US and don't come to Kana anymore, huh?
My grandmother's with you.
But you are not here. Anyway, good to see you. Your best friend is also here. So, where do we begin today, Uma?
Daaji, before we begin, we have few esteemed guests that are here. We just want to mention their names. They are in the audience visiting us. First, I would like to introduce Dr. Prem Sagar Reddy Garu, Chairman of Prime Healthcare, and he is here in the audience with us. And also along with, we have some surprises for Upasana Garu also. Her uncle, Dr. Prasad Reddy Garu, is here in the audience. And her friend, Mr. Eddie Stern, he is a renowned yoga teacher and author and lecturer from New York, is here with us. And we also have Parasuram Reddy Garu, a friend of yours from Staten Island.
Staten Island, yes.
And we are expecting your dear friend, Minister Erraballi Dayakar Rao Garu, Minister of Panchayat Raj, Rural Development and RWS. And we have many more esteemed guests from our American Telugu Association community that are joined us today in the audience. And I welcome Upasana Garu now, and she can ask the questions to you. Thank you, Master.
Thank you for this honor, and thank you for putting me in this state also where I'm most intimidated when I have such a great master in front of me, and I have to ask him the questions, but I'll anyway take a shot at it. But thank you, Daaji, for giving me this opportunity. Whenever I see you and whenever you smile, you know, I feel a sense of peace. Thank you for that. I'm more at ease now. And now that I'm relaxed, I'm going to take the opportunity of asking you, what is a woman's true beauty and how can it come out the best?
Oh my God. What a question. You know, many years back, I read a book by Swami Vivekananda. And he describes the three great women that he heard about. And all across the line, he said the quality these three women shared, and even after 5,000 years or 10,000 years, we still remember them, is because of their humility. Humility makes them so irresistibly attractive. That's all I can say. Imagine you may have a beauty, power galore, but if such a beautiful woman has arrogance, think the opposite way. Then you will realize what's the use of such a beautiful woman. She is full of arrogance. I have nothing to do with such a person. So it is humility, that would embellish her own beauty. It will take it to a next level.
While a lot of men admire humility in women, what do you feel women should admire in men?
Imagine having a husband who is always trying to hide behind you. It won't be a right husband. He'll say, oh, somebody is attacking, and he says, oh, Upasana, why don't you find out who is out there? Then you will laugh at such a husband. What are you doing? You should be in the forefront and try to tackle the problem. So I would say in a man, I would look for something it is courage.
So, Daaji, the world is going through so much turmoil and people are, trying to be happy and finding their happiness from within. And it's a constant search. All of us are seeking happiness. what is the one thing that we need to do in our daily routine that's easy? You know, meditation for a lot of people is tough. So, what are the simple things that one thing that we can do to achieve happiness?
Well, let's think in a different way. Would you be happy when rest of the world is happy and you're not? So my happiness need not depend or need not be spoiled because there is disturbance outside. My life is in my control. Everybody else's life I cannot control. Though personally I do get affected by the lives of my loved ones. Right? So that is one point to be considered. Secondly, you have already put a condition that what if I'm not able to meditate? Will I be happy? You have robbed me of my own answer. You have put a checkmate on me. That remove meditation and tell me how can you be happy? I think you can't be. Without meditation, you can't be. Hear me out in a logical way. And I am quoting from Gita, something from chapter 2, perhaps the sloka number 65. And I'm not so good at Sanskrit, so I remember numbers. And till you go and read this sloka. But the essence is this, that Lord Krishna tells Arjun that everyone, even a small ant, a donkey, a dog, they all would like to be happy. And especially human beings. There is no limit to this happiness. With human beings, there are, levels and transcendental forms of happiness. For example, what is the difference between happiness, joy, and bliss? See, these are all incremental in their subtlety. Let's focus mainly on happiness. Can you be happy when you are restless? You can have everything, and you have everything, as far as the worldly acquisitions are concerned. But if you are restless from inside, anxious from inside, stressed for whatever reason inside, you can't enjoy that happiness or the acquisitions that we have. How to tackle this restlessness? Restlessness can be eradicated when we create a field of harmony within us. A harmonious heart cannot tolerate, cannot handle, or cannot have this sort of restlessness. So harmony is required. And harmony is not possible unless and until you are at peace with yourself. See? In this harmony and peace, they are achievable only when you have developed contemplative mind. And contemplative mind demands some level of ability of mind to focus. And ability of mind to focus rests in the hands of a meditator. If you cannot meditate, you cannot exercise your mind, you cannot regulate your mind. You cannot regulate your mind, that means you don't have peace. You don't have peace, you can't have harmony, you can't have contemplative mind, and you will be robbing yourself from happiness. And not only that, your restlessness spreads around you, your field, your vibrations. Let's see, when you're angry, what happens to your husband or to your children? They will be on their toes. And when you are really happy, or so joyful, or you are so pleasantly in a blissful state after meditation, that state itself spreads around you. And that's why one person is enough. If that person is really, really meditating so well, it affects in its own orbit other individuals also in the family, and they would also naturally be inclined towards going within. So a meditator sets an example for rest of the families. Even if they don't meditate, they will admire this quality of a person who is so poised and calm and introvert. They'll say, okay, I'm not able to do it, but I do admire this person. And one day, who knows, I might be able to become like them. So it's a really, it gives you not only yourself a joy, but some other person also to look forward to such spiritual states. So meditation is the key. If you can meditate and later on remain meditative, and meditative mind does not set the ripples in the environment. They don't set out the stressful vibrations in the environment. So not only you become happy, but you are setting the tone in the environment for others to also imbibe.
I think that I really need to calm down and meditate, and I've seen it also. I've seen lots of success. I've been able to make more stable decisions in my work when I calm down and I meditate, even if it's for 5 minutes. So I'm trying my best, and I hope others will try it with me too. Another thing that we've learned through COVID is that people value relationship success much more than financial success now, because human lives matter now, and the relationships that we share with people matter. So then I was sitting at a board meeting, and my board was reviewing how the balance sheet and how my company was doing, and they said, oh great, this, that. But we never stopped to do that for our relationships that we share. We never review them every quarter. Nobody monitors them for us. So what do you feel are the benchmarks that need to be reviewed every quarter in relationships?
Well, if I have to watch my back every step I move, then I'm not in good relationship. See, if my wife demands that every evening I bring roses, then I don't think I can put up with such a wife. I have to accept whether, it's a once and for all sort of a bond that we are making, especially in our tradition. You are happy or going through hell, that is one relationship we learn to live with. So it's easy to say I can't put up with this nonsense. But that has become a trend, and then divorces happen just like that. On drop of a hat, you're divorced. But it takes a lot to stay put and accept each other. In America, we have this idea of tolerance, ethnic tolerance, tolerating your neighbors. In fact, I had a conversation with one of the Sheikhs in United Arab Emirates, where they had formed the Ministry of Tolerance. And I said, what a mockery. Then I asked the Sheikh, suppose you tell your wife, honey, I tolerate you. So why are you creating such a nomenclature for the ministry which is so noble? So in relationship there is so much of acceptance that you are not even aware of this fact that I'm accepting or not. So if you have to retake the accounts of your relationship, then I think something has gone wrong. I should not become a watchdog on my relationship. I have such a free relationship. I must not worry about it at all. That is the best relationship. Each time I have to take an account of my relationship every now and then you are starting with a negative approach. It's a negative attitude towards the relationship. This is one take. But incrementally, I think when we as husband and wife meditate together, to me, it's the best solution. See, Try this out also. People who are in the bed together, hold each other's hands and inhale together and exhale together. Even this simple exercise will take you to a different level of bonding. Don't figure out where you have gone wrong, because surely you will find out not you're wrong, but other person's wrong. Because when you are taking the accounts of relationship, you're not looking only at yourself, you're looking at other person also. So you didn't do this, you didn't do that, you are supposed to do this, then you are in big troubles. So in fact, instead of identifying which thing I should be looking for, let's focus on what I should not be engaging myself in.
Sorry, Daaji. I'm not able to hear you well, but I will still ask my question. Daaji, when you were talking about relationships, sometimes, people feel they are taken for granted. So my mother feels that I take her for granted. And, I want to build my relationship more with her. But, it's not transactional, it's just love. And I think that's more and more, what she wants more of my time. Same thing, sometimes I can take my spouse for granted also. But how do we break this? How do we make relationships secure? I love the fact that you said that, you can hold hands and, you go into different space. And I think that's something that we have to try. But what can we do to make sure that the other person doesn't feel that they're taken for granted?
Well, I have not pondered over all these, negative aspects of relationships. And it's difficult for me to answer that. You give an example, mother asking for more time from yourself. Why not? What's wrong with it? Right? If she demands, it's her right to demand. Remember your childhood days. I mean, you can't remember anything that happened, below the age of 5 or something like that. But we can recollect all these things by seeing our children, how much time we devote to them. Right? Similarly, my mother must have devoted so much of time for me. She must have had sleepless nights when I was sick. Am I able to spend at least 10% of that time she spent in raising me? So it's not a question of taking for granted. Her demands are legitimate. It is unfortunate that mother has to speak that you're neglecting me. And it's similarly, our other dear ones in the family also. Why give this opportunity for them to complain? Where did we go wrong? That means the idea of Viveka, how much time I should allocate in my business, how much time I should allocate to other things in my family life, you see. These problems of Western style of life, of going out into something which is culturally not conducive in Indian society, by and large, we have a different way of lifestyle. Moment you make such a change, such a drift, there will be turbulence. And unless and until both parties are understanding and adjusting to this new shift that is happening culturally, I think this problem will remain.
It's really, really insightful. Daaji, one last question before I move to the audience. I've been getting a lot of messages on my social media, and yesterday also some people sent me this question. There's a sense of, this is from the audience, they say that, a lot of people here have kids that are born here, and so they feel that they are from the United States. The others have been born in India but don't have citizenship and they've come here. So they don't have a sense of belonging. How do they build that sense of belonging And to who do they build it to? Do they build it to the United States? Do they build it to India? What do they do? A lot of them are confused.
This is a matter of attitude altogether. The humanity is moving into a different direction altogether. Thinking oneself to be just an Indian, or just a Hindu, or just a Christian, or just a Muslim, or just an American citizen, it's limiting us. Ideal thing is we are all human. Citizenship, etc., is too superficial. But we, in a practical world, see, when we are living in United States, our allegiance is to United States. You live in India, your allegiance is to India. Now, what is the difference between allegiance and cherishing the values? The American value system, Indian value system, they are both great in their own individual sense. I pick up both, best of both the worlds. What we are doing, the new culture that is emerging, I'm not complaining of youth, I'm complaining of adults who have crossed 40s. They have picked up the worst of both. You see atta parties going on outside. You can see it in front of your eyes. They pick up the worst of India, the worst of United States and combine and say, wow, we are enjoying life. That will be a tragedy. If you want to align yourself as a youth and become an ideal, have a universal principle and if possible, go to a cosmic principle. Cherish the values which are best and avoid that can degrade my overall growth.
Thank you so much. A lot of people will find a lot of peace with your answer. Thank you. And I leave it to the audience for questions. Please.
Thank you, Upasana.
Thank you, Daaji. Always a pleasure. And keep smiling because that makes us really happy.
But your questions, I didn't expect you to ask such questions. I mean, I'm not prepared for this question, what women should have and what men should have. But this is what I spoke to you was from my heart. I may be wrong. Some women might get offended. Don't we have humility? And, but I hope my wife is not listening, so.
Can walk up here.
Please introduce yourself also.
Hi, thanks so much for being here and hosting such a beautiful session. My name is Divya, and I'm from Hyderabad, but I grew up there and here, so I also struggle with the, belongingness aspect of everything. And so my question is about, the young adults nowadays. I'm a young adult and I see that everyone is in this race. We're always competing. We always want to be in control of our life, our careers, our relationships, our emotions. And I'm wondering, what is your advice for the youth nowadays to surrender and, be more at ease with themselves even when things don't go right? How can we relinquish that aspect of control and just surrender to the higher power?
I think it's a fatalistic view. When something goes wrong and you surrender and say, oh, it's all my destiny, let's not get into that slumber. It's ignorance at its worst. India has suffered for millennia because of this thought that God does everything. No. God has created the universe with certain principles, and He asks us to use three things, and all these things starts with H: head, the hand, and your heart. Head is Gyan, knowledge. The heart is all about your love. The hand is karma. So we should have these three things going on together. The bhakti means love and devotion towards your work. It has nothing to do towards God. You love your work, you dedicate yourself towards doing whatever you are doing in the best possible way, with passion. And every youth today, they're full of passion. So that is aspect of love. Hand means hard work, but intelligently. So use all three H's. Okay, it sounds too good when we talk like this. And when it comes to surrendering to God, it's an easy escape. Oh, it's not in my destiny, and maybe I was not supposed to have it this way. This is not a good view. You must work hard at it. And if you become really, really complacent and so it's not in my luck, then you become absolutely important and say, oh, I can't do this. And you become, I think then eventually you will end up being depressed. If the disturbance is there because you failed in something, it's a good thing. If you fail and you enjoy, would you succeed next time? Because if there was joy in failure, then everybody wants to fail all the time. So it's good that it is painful when we fail. This pain teaches us that don't fail again. Prepare yourself. So failure and stress. Imagine you were going to give an exams and you didn't have any stress. Would you study? You won't. So some level of stress is required. Some level of pain is also required if you fail. So it's okay. Pain teaches us, let me not repeat this pain again. That means let me not fail again. That means let me work better. Let me use this 3H properly.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. That was a beautiful answer and a question as well. Anyone else? Questions? Yeah? Go ahead.
Could I get, yeah, thank you so much. Namaste, Daaji. Thank you so much for coming to meet us and talk to us. I had a question regarding the discussion of the contemplative mind that you talked about. And this goes back to a reading that, and one of the questions I had from there. So in the Nicomachean Ethics, Aristotle talks about the contemplative mind as being the best way to reach the highest level of happiness because it's self-sustaining. But he also talks about it as being needing to have some sort of divinity in order to reach it, and that normal humans not reach that level because we need sustenance, because we have desires. And he proposes virtue ethics, or going and looking for like courage or temperance, and developing that over time through our experiences in order to reach that same level. So I wanted to ask you from, from a yogic or a meditative perspective, can the contemplative life actually be achieved? And what do you think about virtue ethics as a better way to reach that same level, or more attainable for humans?
Both are connected. Life of virtue and contemplative life are all connected. Let us say if you lead a life that is not virtuous. Right? Let us say you end up murdering someone. Or let's say you stole some French fries from McDonald's. As a kid, it's okay, but when you are grown up and you keep stealing those, sometimes Pepsi, sometimes French fries, would you be able to remain contemplative with compromised virtues. You can't, because your mind is preparing yourself in doing something better as far as virtues are concerned, meaning how to break this virtual cycle of virtues. You want to break it all the time, see? So the not being virtuous will not make you a contemplative individual. So they are both required, and both are fabric of a spiritual life, for a divine life. Without contemplative mind, without virtual or the fabric of virtues in your life, you cannot build a spiritual empire.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Daaji, we have Anisha, the CEO of Upasana Garu's foundation is here. She would like to ask a question.
Namaste, Daaji.
Namaskaram. Namaskaram, ma.
Daaji, I have a very simple question. I had always had a life purpose or mission, but when we work in the tribal areas with Apollo Foundation, I find a lot of youth who are struggling to find a mission or a life purpose. So it's a twofold question. One, do we all have a life purpose, or it's just something we tell ourselves to feel important? And second, if we do have a life purpose, how can we help each other to find that?
Well, this itself requires, I would say, one extraordinary session for 2 hours of dialogue. You have raised very important question, the purpose of life. When you put such a question to people like me, I immediately jump to ultimate purpose of life, the final most. Youth are not struggling for such a purpose, lofty purpose of God realization. They're too busy, and they don't even know that they have problems, especially in tribal area. Only when people like you go there and they say, you have this problem, you don't have this, and I'm going to do this for you, then they get worried. Oh, I don't have this. She's telling me that I don't have this and I must have it now. So you are the one creating problems for them. This is one problem they are having, see. When an educated person goes to a village, villagers were quite happy in their ignorance. You say, oh, you don't know how to write alphabets. You don't know even how to sing a song of, in the praise of the Lord. We are spoiling them. Let them be the way they are as far as culture is concerned. Enabling them in a field where they can make their livelihood is a different thing, you see. And what Apollo Foundation is doing is extraordinary, enabling them. It's not giving a fish, but you are training them to earn on a day-to-day basis. So you're not giving them money, but you are training them how to make money, which is noble actually. And it is not against spirituality. It is not against achieving or attaining God. Both can go together. See? And would these people like to meditate? I don't think so. If you are hungry, you can't meditate. So we have to enable them in making their livelihood secured. Instead of showing them what they are lacking, show them what they can do on their own.
అంతకుముందు కేసీఆర్ గారు మాకు చాలా డైరెక్షన్ ఇచ్చారు. దాంట్లో మీరు చెప్పేటివన్నీ చాలా ఇంప్లిమెంట్ చేస్తున్నాం. ఒక్కటే, మీరు ప్రపంచవ్యాప్తంగా కూడా చాలా పేరు సంపాదించారు. నేను ఎక్కడికి పోయినా చాలా మీ స్ఫూర్తి నేను తీసుకుంటున్నాను. నేను హ్యాపీగా ఫీల్ అవుతున్నాను. మీరు నాకు పరిచయం అవడం నేను ఒక అదృష్టంగా భావిస్తున్నాను. అంతకుముందే మీ గురించి విన్నా కానీ అంత పరిచయం లేకుండే. మీతో 2 సార్లు కూర్చున్న తర్వాత నేను ఇక్కడికి పోయొచ్చాను అని మేము చెప్పిన తర్వాత చాలామంది కూడా హ్యాపీగా ఫీల్ అయ్యారు. నేను ఇక్కడ అమెరికాలో కూడా ఈ ఆటామా సభలో కూడా మీరు వస్తారని చాలా వెయిట్ చేశాం. మీతోటి పరిచయం కావాలి, మీతోటి కూర్చోవాలని చాలా హ్యాపీగా ఫీల్ అయ్యాను. కానీ ఈ రోజైనా మీ నోట మీరు చూసడం మేము ఒక అదృష్టంగా భావిస్తున్నాను కూడా ఈ సందర్భంగా మీకు తెలియజేస్తూ, మీ కార్యక్రమాలు ఇంత స్ఫూర్తితోటి చేసినందుకు నేను ప్రత్యేకంగా అభినందిస్తున్నా. మీరు ఏ రూపకంగా చేశారు, ఎట్లా చేశారు, ఇంత మంచి పేరు ఎట్లా సంపాదించారు అనేది కూడా మాకు కొద్దిగా వినాలని కూడా ఉన్నది. రెండో విషయం కూడా, తెలంగాణ రాష్ట్రంలో అయితే మిమ్మల్ని ఆదర్శంగా తీసుకొని మేము పనిచేస్తున్నామని కూడా ఈ సందర్భంగా తెలియజేస్తూ, మెడిటేషన్ చేయాలని నేను చాలా ప్రయత్నం చేస్తున్నా కానీ ఎందుకో మా రాజకీయాలలో బాగా టెన్షన్ ఉంటాయి మాకు పొలిటికల్గా. అయినా ప్రయత్నం చేస్తున్నా. మళ్ళీ ఒక రోజు మీ దగ్గర కూర్చొని ఇంకా మెడిటేషన్ ఎట్లా నేర్చుకోవాలనేది కూడా ప్రయత్నం చేస్తాను కూడా ఈ సందర్భంగా తెలియజేస్తూ, ఈ అవకాశం ఇచ్చి ఇలా పాల్గొనే అవకాశం ఉండటం నేను అదృష్టంగా భావిస్తున్నా. థ్యాంక్ యూ.
Eraballi Dayakar Rao Garu has spoken in Telugu and appreciating all the efforts you are making with the villagers, with the rural India and the children, and they are very impressed that their principles match your principles in serving the world. And he says every time he comes to you, he feels peace. But when he's sitting by himself, his stress level is so high, he's unable to focus. And he's seeking his blessings from you for his inner journey, I would say. This is the brief of what he very graciously from his heart spoke from his heart. And I convey the essence to you, Master.
Thank you, Magaru, and thank you, Rao Garu. You have inspired us with each of your visit, and this is a minister who facilitated the road, for more than 4 or 5 years, or maybe even 10 years. We've been looking forward to a road construction between the main road and the ashram. But ever since, we made a simple request to this administration. Within 1 month, they finished the road. And now our distance between the airport and our ashram is now reduced to 35 to 40 minutes. It used to be hour plus. So we all are happy. And we are going to do many such projects with this administration. KCR Garu was also, he's one of the favorite chief ministers across India. Because he has done wonderful job for the citizens of the state, this Telugu Rastram or Telangana Rastram. It is being guided by a worthy family of politicians and worthy family of many politicians who have come across from various districts. And it's not usual for me to praise politicians because we all have bad or sometimes very rarely, exceptionally, we have good experiences with them. Nevertheless, this one administration that we are witnessing is really good one. And moment they understand that this is the difficulty, they are ever willing to come forward and solve it. Besides all this, they are ever willing to take up these projects into villages and help us implement them. Some programs that we implement in schools, for example, the Brighter Mind program that you may have witnessed, how to increase the intuitive capacities amongst our children, especially in villages. Our Panchayat Garu minister is helping us all the time. He is also going to bring in many sarpanches, the heads of the villages, to our ashram for further training, so we can awaken our people at a spiritual level. So not only materially, but they are also contributing in some way, in a spiritual way. This is very rare as well as exception. for any state to implement. So many people, they ask me, why do you have, you are a Guju fellow, you are a Gujarati. Why do you have ashram in Telangana? See, but when I see this, that the people by and large are spiritual, and when I see the help from the government, and where the other politicians, I have not met KCR Garu or KTR Garu, his sons, but I have met most of the other ministers and the administrative officials. They are all very cooperative in both the work, spiritual work, as well as mundane things like how to, related to education, related to water, related to COVID. You know, during the COVID time, we reached out to many villagers and gave them knowledge system. If they had any question, we had the toll-free number how to tackle certain symptoms instead of going to hospital, how they can handle it at home. And many our NRI doctors from API, they did participate in reaching out to these villages during those last 2 years, and the program is still going on. Anyways, I'm very grateful to our Minister Garu and the entire administrative team, political, the machinery of Telangana. They're all helping us in a very masterful way. Thank you. Thank you.
I would take this time to tell all the parents out there that if you love your children, and I say this from the bottom of my heart, if you love your children and you want them to have a superpower, and I've seen this with my own eyes, enroll them in the Brighter Minds program. It's something so magical, and that's what will set your child apart from being a regular human to a superhuman. And I think that is something, that's the edge and that's the advantage that you can give your child. So to all the parents out there, and when I have children also, I will 100% enroll them in this plan. So I really think everyone should do it. And Daaji, what an amazing experience. I saw the kids while walking in, and they are like so confident. I never had that confidence when I was a child. It's fantastic. And I can go on talking and praising these kids. It's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.